Hello and welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're talking about Sam Adams,
That's right, Johnny.
our
John
second president.
Sam Adams. I don't think his middle name
John-
was Sam, but sure.
What?
Yeah.
Why? So why did he go by Samuel? I guess we'll find out why he changed
changed his name for the beer?
brewery to found the Samuel Adams Brewery.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
Same guy, right?
yeah, same guy. Totally,
Okay,
totally
good.
same guy. Second president of Z's United States. Here's our second episode in Crapbag Presidents, or the things
Oh yeah, I
the
forgot.
dark
we're
side
talking
of
about
our
bad things
president
about
series
the
that we got.
president, so
Yes.
opposite of what you learn in the textbooks, where they're all
yeah.
deified and taught that they can't do anything wrong, and all they did was make this country the best country in the world.
I guarantee you that we didn't learn everything in the textbooks about this guy, and I also guarantee I'm going to preface this. I'm going to preface this. John Adams is one of my favorite founding fathers because of his very love for law and order. The problem is he takes that love for law and order a bit too far when it comes to his own personal protections, so to speak.
Okay.
But we'll get into it, Johnny.
Okay.
John Adams took office in 1797, becomes the second president of these United States, and the president of what we'd call first. He's the first president to live in the White House. He is the first president to serve only one term. He is the first president to not own slaves, Johnny, and I mean legitimately. He didn't own slaves ever. Never once. Not
Ever.
gifted to him, not owned by him, not purchased by him. Did
Our
not.
second president was against slavery, and then it wasn't until the 16th that we were able to eradicate it.
Sure, we'll say he was.
Oh, or he was kind of like me with it, where I don't hunt, don't like it, don't want to,
Yeah.
but I don't care if other people do. More like that.
Kind of a little bit
Okay.
like that. And,
All
and then Johnny, he's also the first president to have people arrested for saying bad things about him.
Lincoln would have loved him.
Lincoln would love this guy. Adams is best summed up by Representative Matthew Lyons, who said, and I quote, "Adams is a malicious, seditious person and a depraved mind and a wicked, diabolical disposition."
Oh,
Yeah.
glowing reviews. Was this a congressman?
Congressman, yes, this is a congressman who said those things about Adams, and
Probably not same party.
no, not same party, no.
I mean,
Yes, Adams
so
is
take it with a grain of salt. Like he's slandering him.
yes.
He should have been arrested for libel.
Well, Johnny, spoiler alert.
What? Are you serious? No. He had him arrested for saying that?
We're jumping the gun here a little bit, but yeah, sure did.
Okay.
So Adams is
my
he's a
God.
federalist, so roughly that means we take the Constitution as a loose set of guidelines. And then Jefferson,
okay.
who was his vice president, was a Democratic Republican who said that, no, that's pretty, what we wrote, like this was like 2 weeks ago that we wrote this. Like, come on, guys.
I mean,
Like,
really. I get today if they're like, okay, guys, listen, it was written a long time ago. We need to take some look at some things. It's a different society. This was written 10 years ago
Yeah, it was
or
really
whatever. Like, this isn't that old.
Adams also has a lot of rumors of him having an affair or two, bringing in many hookers into his home.
I mean,
he was also
who amongst us?
right. He was also rumored to be a supporter of the crown and wanting to return America to a new monarchy. Which, I mean, he did suggest that the president should be called His Elected Majesty. So
he wanted people to love him and listen to him and obey his every order, and he wanted to be king. He wanted mini England where the Adams family could have run it.
Run it, yeah.
Okay.
Now, to be fair, a lot of these adultery criticisms, some of these other ones, actually come out of a very heated second run at president when he's running against Jefferson, where both sides wrote a lot of ridiculous things about each other, including Jefferson claiming that Adams was a hermaphrodite, and Adams claiming that Jefferson slept with his slaves, which, I mean, one of those actually was proven to be true. So.
Sure. Yes, but so the playground insults game has been, it's an American tradition, apparently. This isn't like, oh, we're devolving to some sort of, monkeys throwing feces at each other. This is how the country was founded and started, with just people making stuff up about the opponent.
Yeah.
That's
pretty much
reassuring. Sad? I don't know which one.
Now, while researching this episode, I did find it a little bit harder to throw mud at at Adams as opposed to what it was with Washington.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got those rose-colored glasses on, Tommy. You got to take those off for a second.
He is a little bit better of a human being, so I'm going to take those rose-colored glasses off. It's early America. We can't talk about any of these presidents without talking about slavery, Johnny. Because, well, it's everywhere.
That built the country.
Adams claimed that he despised slavery and would never support it under his roof, which he did in that he never purchased any slaves, but that whole, like, I'll never support it only factored in when it wasn't convenient for him, but when it was convenient for him, it factored.
Yeah.
And
rules for thee, but not for me. Yeah. That is the monarchy.
And so while Adams never actually never actually owned any slaves, he did run his personal household off of paid servants, which included white men, freed black men, and then slaves that he paid the master to use. So while he didn't own any slaves directly, but he did pay the master to have the slave come over and work for his household.
I'm not sure that's how it's supposed to work. If I was against something, I wouldn't rent it and be like, I'm still within my, morality or whatever. For whatever reason, I'm against the thing I'm renting. Like, that's not how it works.
How it works? Well,
it's
Johnny,
still slavery.
I think, to be fair, though, this particular situation where
Tommy,
where he's renting these slaves came from mostly his wife Abigail, who had a hard time trying to find good help, and by that I mean, like, all the white people that she had working for her were immigrants that were quote unquote drunkards.
Sure.
So and so she found that servants of the slavery end of it were far better persuasion workers than the non-slave version. So she very much insisted on Adams.
So it turns out fear of beatings and death makes you a harder worker than low wages.
Yeah, pretty much.
Shocking.
He also made arrangements while he was at the president's, while he setting up the White House, because he's the first president in the White House. He makes arrangements so that the third floor of the White House was set up for servants and slaves that worked at the White House. He also built a house in between the White House and the stables for slaves.
His paid slaves. Okay.
Yeah. Well, not his. He didn't own that.
No. So he just didn't do any of the paperwork, is all, and just reaped all of the benefits and was able to say, "Oh, I didn't own any slaves. I think it's morally wrong," or whatever he was trying to say. But my wife, she owned some, and
she didn't own the entire house. She didn't own any.
Oh no,
no. She just encouraged him to pay wages to the master and rent the slaves. She's
right. Yeah, that old ball and chain. Always tugging at your moral and ethical responsibilities.
While in office as the president of the United States, he also made no moves to try to further the abolition movement at all. Like, he didn't make any laws, didn't try to make any laws, didn't make any outright statements. Like, he claimed he was against it, but he made no real movements. Now, I preface all that with saying, we do have to look at the context of the time here. He is like one of the, in fact, other than his son, he's the only president to not own slaves out of the first 12. So that's kind of big, other than his son.
But he did, though.
He definitely
I'm done with your little technicality here. He owned slaves.
He definitely benefited from it. He also benefited financially from the whole, molasses to rum to slave trade thing that was going on at the time. Everybody in the North benefited from the slave industry at this point.
Yes, our country benefited from the slave industry, Tommy. They built it.
Yeah, they sure did. But I mean, it's at this point, I'm trying to find something to make it.
To make slavery okay.
No, not to make. Damn it, Johnny.
No, Tommy. Here's the thing. No, to make his not saying anything about it, to not bringing it up, he couldn't. There was. There was zero support, and there was nothing there. It was. If he said that, it's political suicide.
Yeah,
great example.
Great example. It's like 1990s, Go back in the 1990s. It's gay marriage in the 90s.
Oh.
There's nobody that was supporting it. Even your Barack Obamas, Bill Clintons, all of them were outright saying marriage is between a man and a woman. So that's the.
I mean, forget the 90s, the 2000s even.
Yeah, even the 2000s.
I mean, Barack Obama's first term.
Yeah, he did say that. Yeah,
he ran on where they lived together. They could have the unity.
Civil unions. Yes,
civil unions. Yeah.
So it's that.
No,
it's
that.
that.
It's the same type of thing. It's just
that.
the temperature of the political environment. They know what they can and can't say.
There you go. It is that. So, in any case, moving off the slavery topic, now we're going on to onto his true assholiness, which comes from his time as president. Not really his personal life, but his time as president. There is some. He does inherit some issues with France from George Washington, and his response there too is what really is just shitting all over this young country's constitution. So. While signing the Treaty of Paris, himself being one of the parties who signed the Treaty of Paris, it did agree that America would never go to war with France. And then when Adams became president, he pretty much immediately went to war with France.
Oh, shoot.
So, oops.
Shoot.
Because
first person in history to break a treaty. That's unbelievable. That's quite the black mark on his record.
You see here, during Washington's administration, when he was the vice president, France and England got into a little bit of a war. England began capturing American merchant vessels to try to, I really don't know what their goal here was. I guess they were still saucy about the whole, loss of the revolution here thing. In order to
lost major new colonies.
Yeah. So in order to get a peace treaty with England on this front of, hey, could you please not steal my merchant vessels, and can you please not impress my sailors into your navy force to fight the French? There was a treaty that was made, and that treaty kind of pissed off France, because France is like, you're supposed to be neutral in this whole war between France and England thing, and now it kind of sounds like you're siding with England because you're making your own little peace treaty off to the side. So we don't like that.
Yeah, starting to sound less neutral.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly what England was going to do to see if we can't drum up a peace treaty with you too, and we're going to start stealing your merchant vessels and impress your sailors into the French fleet to fight.
So what we did was we set a really bad example by being like, if you stop, or if you stop, attacking our merchant vessels or whatever, we'll sign a treaty with you.
Yeah.
And so France started attacking them so that we would then say, if you stop attacking our merchant vessels, we'll sign a treaty with you.
Now, Adams, for one of his first acts as president, tries to attempt to stop these hostilities by sending over a series of delegates to French government, which promptly said, nope, we're not going to see you. But what France did do is they sent three commissioners, this is what's going to become known as the XYZ affair, who went and said, look, if you pay us money, we'll totally let you talk to the French government and form a treaty here.
So bribes.
Total outright bribery. And this became a big scandal where Adams' response to this, which isn't necessarily bad here, is, no, we're not going to do that. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take that money that would have been to the bribe, and we're going to invest that in our military, specifically our Navy, where we're going to build up a shit ton of boats using British naval...
How big was the bribe?
British naval yards, big enough to buy some boats. And then we use the British naval yards to build these boats. The British Navy begins protecting our merchant fleets, at least two English ports.
Yeah, I can't see.
And then we start raiding French vessels in the Caribbean and taking their boats.
Now,
and naval
I can understand.
And impressing them.
I can understand why France. Yeah, I understand why France is mad about this. That makes sense. I mean, that's shit thing to do, but maybe don't kick the bear that just beat England in a war and gained their independence.
We beat England in the war because France pretty much
helped
us on that one.
No, France only surrenders. We know that. We did an episode on it.
We did do an episode on that one.
It was all American, bootstrappy,
So we have what's known as the quasi-war, which there's not outright wars not declared here. Adams does do a good job of avoiding that front. But we do have a quasi-naval war. I mean, we're in the Caribbean attacking French boats. Now, why the Caribbean, Johnny? Because, that's the center of our slave triangle trade where we take molasses and we make it into rum and then get that for people.
Yeah, so, okay,
so... repeats itself.
What I'm getting so far is President Adams he's the president of technicalities. Technically, I'm against slavery. Technically, we're not going to war. But the White House runs on slaves and we're attacking people with our army.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, Navy.
Right.
Yeah. Navy that we built with English aid.
Our military.
Yeah.
How about we'll go that way.
Yeah. And then we do eventually get a little peace treaty that's signed with the French government, and part of that is like, well, you're going to pay us our debts. At which point Adam said, "No, those debts were owed to the French crown, and you're not the crown anymore. So why on earth would we pay those?"
We talked about this, right? This was so in between them giving us our debts, France also had a revolution, right?
Yes, there's
and set up a different government, and our debts were to the crown, and so another technicality.
Yeah, Adams was not.
My gosh, this guy.
Yeah.
He's the actually guy.
Yeah. He's the actually.
How can you be against slaves if you own slaves? Actually, I don't own any of the slaves that are running the White House.
I just rent them.
How can you say? This guy. I can see why he's your favorite, Tommy.
No, I told you, because I am that actually guy. No, I told you all that, Johnny, all the story to set up the real shit show. So now we got the real shit show, okay?
So all of that's the appetizer.
This is the appetizer. Here's the actual beef with Adams. He used the quasi-war with France to pass a series of legislations known as the Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798. Fear of French spies gave him his justification to go after immigrants, and his hatred for his political opponents made him use the Sedition Act to put down any negative talk about him and his administration and to imprison his political opposition.
Whoa. So, okay. At first, this was just an immigration policy, but it took a sharp turn.
Yeah, it took a sharp turn
after that. When now, not only is it he's just questioning French people on the street or whatever, or arresting French people. Yeah.
Any foreigner does
anybody saying anything bad about him or that could be negative.
Yeah. So let me get into Johnny here. The alien part
after we signed I'm sorry. Just after we signed a peace treaty with France, this happens.
Well, this is kind of going on in that whole quasi-war thing.
Yep. All right.
So the first part, the alien part of this act. While in a semi-state of war with France, he used it to justify his huge ratification for immigration reform. First, it raised the time from 5 years to 10 years for immigrants to become citizens and gain the right to vote. Previously, you had to be here for 5 years. Now we jumped to the decade.
Okay.
It just so happened that a lot of the political opposition, the Democratic Republicans, were heavily immigrants. So that probably had no ulterior motive to it when it comes to voting.
Yeah, it's crazy that it pushes all of their voting rights back to where it'll be after his second term and he can't be president anymore to take effect.
Yeah. It also allows the president to deport and imprison any non-citizen deemed dangerous. This is anybody who's not a citizen of these United States, including...
Deemed dangerous. By whom?
Yeah, right. It allowed the president to deport any non-citizen from the enemy nation. So if we are at war or in hostilities with any nation, we can deport anybody from the home nation out of our country for any reason whatsoever, just because you're French.
And now you have 5 extra years to do it. How about that?
Yeah. And it allowed him to arrest any non-citizen for making any false statements about the federal government. So if you have an Irishman coming over saying Adams is kind of a fat prick, well,
no,
going to jail.
Now hold on.
Adams was kind of fast, so it's not really false, but it's good enough. It's good enough.
That's what I'm saying. It's again, who's deciding what's false?
Because that would be the president. That would be the president.
It either has to be proven, or you're just saying if you say something that we don't like.
That's what.
Because if it's an opinion piece, because saying anybody is an asshole is a matter of opinion.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I don't think if the president takes offense, Johnny, we're at it. Donald Trump would have loved this stuff. Anyways, now comes the sedition part, which makes it illegal for citizens to criticize the president, Congress, or federal government. Citizens, not non-citizen citizens. Just 8 years after signing the Bill of Rights, Johnny, Adams shits all over the Constitution by making it illegal to criticize the president or Congress. Note, I said president or Congress, but not vice president. Why might the vice president be immune to this particular act? Well, because, Johnny, at this point in time in American history, the vice president was the loser of the last election. So when Adams and Jefferson were at each other, trying to become presidente, when Jefferson lost, he became the vice president.
Yeah.
So
Yep, that's a great way to get presidents assassinated.
Yeah, he's not the. It doesn't stick around for that whole thing. Doesn't stick around.
Yeah, because of that. Because they're like, guys, I'm pretty sure that the losing side might get mad and just kill the president so that their guy's in.
So Adams wanting to be able to say anything negative about Jefferson he wants. Make sure that the vice president's not a part of this whole Sedition Act.
Specifically not named in this.
Specifically not named in this. Yeah.
How petty. What this guy, Tommy?
A little petty.
You opened this episode saying that he's like your favorite president.
No, I didn't say president. I said favorite founding father.
Okay,
not president. He didn't.
Gotcha.
He didn't.
Okay, all right.
He didn't do this as
that's
as
fine.
A
That's
father.
fine. I got you. No. I misheard, misunderstood.
There's a technically aspect that we've been talking
about.
Actually, Johnny,
I said founding father. You dick.
And oh boy, Johnny, did Adams use this act to go after his opponents. Before the law was even signed, he had Franklin's grandson. Yes, that's Benjamin Franklin's grandson, who's Benjamin Franklin Bach, who's a newspaper editor. He's going to have him arrested for saying that Adams was, and I quote, old, querulous, bald, blind, crippled, and toothless.
Now, I'm sorry. Before it was signed?
Yeah, this is before it was signed. So,
yeah, where are Benjamin Franklin's grandsons, whoever, lawyers saying, actually, this isn't law yet, so you can't arrest him?
He gets him arrested for libel because, clearly he's got a tooth, so he's not toothless. So this is libel,
right, yeah,
John. You can't write falsities in the press. Look at Amber Heard; she wrote falsities in the press, and Johnny Depp got his comeuppance. So there's that. Now, Adams arrests Bach specifically because, Abigail said you have to do it. Like, he's like, did you see what they wrote about you in the paper? We can't have that.
All right, so this is really President Abigail Adams.
Kind of, yeah.
What we're getting at. Like, we need slaves. Okay, honey. Yep. You have to arrest that man. Okay, honey.
There's a lot of that going on.
Go to war with France. Okay. No, we can't do that.
You know what? I'm seeing a lot of parallels between Adams. Maybe I know why I like Adams so much. Maybe I am the actually guy, and I definitely just follow my wife. So yeah,
you're John Adams.
Yeah, I'm John Adams.
That's what we're getting to.
Bach.
I don't care what you do, but I'm against these things. But if you want to do them, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Bach Franklin and his pregnant wife would receive death threats from Adams supporters. Bach himself is going to be assaulted twice and his home vandalized. And before he even gets to the trial to court to kind of try to vindicate his name, and again, there's a whole freedom of the press thing that's being kind of shit on here, he's going to die of yellow fever. So we don't
for the best.
Really know how this would have played out for him.
He would have gone to jail and died in a jail cell.
Probably. Once the law takes effect, though, Adams goes on arresting lots of people, and here's some of the favorite ones that I found. All of these, which are his political opponents, one of which he was...
Oh, how about... Yeah, shocking.
One of which he arrested for simply being called his rotundancy, implying that, he was fat. He just arrested somebody for calling him fat.
Shut up! That's a good bird. Come on, you
gotta
be able to laugh about
his elected majesty. Well, all right, his rotundancy. It's kind of fun. I would have.
That's a good bird. That's a good bird. You can't be mad about.
You got arrested for that one. Most famously, he's going to arrest Representative Matthew Lyons for his words calling him a diabolical person. That whole quote that we had at the beginning that you're like, he's probably going to be arrested for that. Yep, sure was.
I was joking, by the way.
No, he definitely got arrested for that.
I had no idea that.
He would be. Shouldn't have. He'd be convicted under the sedition law, imprisoned for 4 months, and fined $1,000 or $23,500 in today's money.
Holy shit. Good golly.
Saying that he's kind of a prick. Which, by arresting him and fining him $1,000, is proving that he's kind of a prick.
No. For exercising his First Amendment right.
Of free speech and freedom of the press, because, Lyons, freedom of the press. Yeah. Lyons, the joke's on Adams, though, here, because Lyons is going to run for another term while in prison and is going to win, and once he's released from jail, he's going to be treated as a martyr of liberty, which, he definitely was. A martyr for liberty.
Adams did that to himself there. He set that, he could have just ignored that, and it would have gone away.
Yep, but he sure didn't. He's also going to go after pro-Jefferson journalist named James Callender, when Callender exposed Federalist Alexander Hamilton's extramarital affair. So... Adams, Federalist partner here. Hamilton, kind of a man whore. And he gets exposed in the press about that. And so Adams has the publicist arrested under this.
Now, the damage is done, though, right? Like,
you would think.
Or are they arresting him saying this is untrue, even though it was?
Calendar's going to be convicted under the Sedition Act, fined $2,000, and sent to jail for 9 months. So the punishments are getting...
What, like $48,000 to $46,000 and 9 months in jail for exposing affairs.
And good news here, Johnny, because the Supreme Court steps in and does not shoot down the Alien Sedition Act.
Ah, good. Yeah, no, it's a good thing we probably had great justices. But you know what, though? So maybe the Alien Sedition Act was totally just and fair and right because Supreme Court is infallible, right?
Johnny, here though, there is some good news. Adams is going to completely lose his second term to Jefferson because Jefferson made the Sedition Act and Alien Act like you see what this douche nozzle is doing. Vote for me. And before
y'all, he wants to be king.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah. I just want to be president for a couple terms.
Before we do our episode on Jefferson, I'm going to do an election of the 1800 because the election between Adams and Jefferson, there's a lot of firsts in there. The fact that this is the first campaign where people actually like go out and like shake hands and kiss babies and all that shit.
Yeah, because Washington
the slander that happens between these two, and it'd be like me and you, Johnny, going at war with each other over trying to become president, and then like not talking for years, and then we would, and then coming back together at the very end, like one of us finally gets the balls to write a letter. It's like, I'm sorry. Can we be pen pals? And then become pen. Oh, it's a great story. We're gonna have that before we go.
Maybe we should do that, Tommy. We're both of age.
Yeah.
You want to run for president?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Pick a party. I'll pick a party. Who cares?
Yeah, sure. It doesn't matter. Whatever party.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
I'm gonna say so many awful things about you, you pothead. Oh, that might help you get elected. Actually.
Yeah, no, because number one on my list is. We're going to legalize pot and tax the hell out of it, and we're going to pay for public schools for it, and we're going to pay our teachers. Beat that, Tommy. Can't.
I'm probably going to do all those things.
Also, save the whales.
I'm probably going to do all those things, but also, like, get rid of a bunch of, like, useless government.
No, Tommy, that's not this episode. Come on.
Hey, all right, we got it. But good news here, Johnny. Like I said, Jefferson's going to win. And there is a clause here where... there's an expiration clause on the Alien Sedition Act. So, good news, on March 3rd,
because he only put it in so he could try to suppress the vote for the next election, this asshole.
Pretty much, because on March 3rd, 1801, the Sedition Act goes away, and it is not renewed under Jefferson, surprise, surprise. And that's where the dickish story of Adam kind of comes to the end. It's not so much that he was a bad person as much as he was a, actually kind of guy, and then, totally shit all over the Constitution.
Well,
which he helped write. It's weird.
That's it for this week in Historic Hindsight. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and join us next week when we talk about the Coney Island incubator babies.